Hey guys, this is Jacob, the TA. I want to show you or walk you through how I draw the brachial plexus. A couple of tips. Number one, before you start drawing, make sure that you know the names of all the nerves, right? You can't draw it if you don't know what's there. So that really helped me to memorize those names first. The second is to know the general shape. So what I do is I'll draw it out and label a little bit as I go, but really at the end is when I'll label everything. And then the third thing is that to quiz yourself, right? Draw it out as best you can, and then whatever mistakes you make or when you are stuck, then call it, go check the brachial plexus, and then fill out the rest. And mark which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong, and you'll be well on your way. Okay, so here's where I start. I write out all the labels first, and then I'm just gonna kind of work my way left to right. So first you have C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. Those are the ventral rami. And let's label those. C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. C5 comes here into a trunk, and then C6 branches with that. C7 is its own trunk, and then C8 is another trunk, and T1 branches there. Okay, real quick, we're going to draw the phrenic nerve. All right, so 3, 4, 5, keep the diaphragm alive. So there's the phrenic nerve. And then we're also going to draw the long thoracic nerve. So 5, 6, and 7. Long thoracic. Okay. Let's label these trunks. You have your superior trunk, your middle trunk, and your inferior trunk. Okay. Now every trunk has two divisions. So you have an anterior division and a posterior division. So the superior trunk, you have an anterior division and a posterior division. Okay, and I draw it like that for a reason. You'll see why as we draw the chords. So then the middle trunk has an anterior division and a posterior division. And then the inferior trunk has a posterior division and an anterior division. Okay, so those are all the divisions, and then we have our chords, and we'll label the divisions in just a second. So you have a chord here, a chord here, and a chord here. Okay, so now let's label these real quick. So you have your lateral chord, your posterior chord, and your medial chord. I label the chords first because it helps me remember that everything going to the posterior chord is a posterior division, and then the other three are anterior divisions. So here we have a posterior division, a posterior division, and a posterior division. Here's an anterior division, and an anterior division, and this is, guys, an anterior division. Almost missed him. Quick note, remember that as you abbreviate, if you want to abbreviate, then you just have to add a key and say anterior, or AD equals anterior division, and so on, right? PD, and then add the rest of your abbreviations in there as well. Okay, so for me, that's the hardest part, is just getting the general shape, and then finishing it off isn't too bad. So let's start with C5. So you have one that comes off here, one that comes off here, and then one that comes off here, and then this one just continues straight. Okay. Posterior chord comes here, and that will branch off into 4. And then you also have one, oops, I'm going to redo that one. You have one here. You also have one here, and one here. Okay, there's your posterior chord, or the rest of that branch. And then your medial cord turns into these two. You also have one here, one coming from the lateral cord, and then these two attach, and you have two here. Okay, and then the last one that you need to know is this dotted one. At least in the picture, it's dotted. In real life, it's not dotted, obviously. So that's how it's drawn. That's the shape of it. And then all we have to do is label them. So let's take our blue, and we'll start on the left, and this is the dorsal scapular nerve. This little guy is nerve to subclavius. Subclavius. This one is the suprascapular nerve. This is the musculocutaneous nerve. And that one leads into the lateral antebrachial cutaneous. And again, here you'd have to add in lat is lateral, med is medial, right? Antebrachial, brachial, and cutaneous. Okay. And then fill out the rest of those. Okay, so C5, or the branch off of the lateral cord, is done. Let's go on to C7/posterior cord. So this guy is going to be the upper subscapular. This is thoracodorsal. And this one is the lower that's a B, subscapular. Okay. This is the axillary nerve, and the axillary nerve innervates the deltoid, right? So then the skin just superficial of the deltoid is going to be the lateral brachial cutaneous. And so the lateral brachial cutaneous nerve innervates that skin. This is the radial nerve. And the radial nerve branches off into four parts. I'm going to zoom up real quick. So the radial nerve innervates all the skin on the back of the arm. So you have your posterior brachial cutaneous, posterior antebrachial cutaneous. Should have given myself more room. Here's your deep radial nerve. And then your superficial radial nerve. Okay, guys, we're almost done. Oops, a reminder to go to work. Okay, medial cord. Here's your medial pectoral nerve, and then your lateral pectoral nerve comes from the lateral cord, right? Get that. And then the one right in the middle that connects them is communicans. So I'm going to add C equals communicans. That's an M, communicans. And then these two, we need to innervate the skin on the arm still. And it's coming off the medial cord. So this is going to be the medial brachial cutaneous and the medial antebrachial cutaneous. Here we have the median nerve and the ulnar nerve, and then this dotted line, the contribution there is branch of C7 to the ulnar nerve. There's another contribution from the lateral cord to the median nerve it's not labeled in the picture, and so you don't have to label it on your brachial plexus, but I'll draw it here. It goes from the lateral cord to the median nerve, exactly like that. Just kidding. So it goes from the lateral cord to the median nerve, and it's called the lateral contribution to the median nerve. I think you have to know that for lab, not positive, but for class, this is sufficient. This is everything you need to know. I really hope that this is helpful. Don't stress out about it. Quiz yourself, take your time, draw this as many times as you need to. I can't tell you how many times I've drawn the brachial plexus, but draw it until you feel comfortable, until you can teach it. So there you go. I hope that's helpful. Feel free to text me or call me or email me if you have any questions. Okay, see ya.